Ever wondered how the wheels of justice begin to turn in a criminal case? Well, let's delve into the intricate web of criminal proceedings. It's a complex dance of actions and reactions, all meticulously choreographed to uphold the law and ensure justice. This process is like a giant machine, with various cogs and gears moving in sync. Each part has a specific role and responsibility. And the fascinating thing is, this machine starts whirring long before a case ever reaches the courtroom. At the heart of this machine are our dedicated police and special services. These are the first responders, the ones who lay the groundwork for everything that follows. Their role is crucial in setting the trajectory of a case. They are the ones who first receive a tip, a call, or discover a crime scene. Their investigations, their observations, their reports, these are the threads that weave the first layer of this intricate web. But their work doesn't stop there. Police and special services are also responsible for gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, and making arrests. They must tread carefully, ensuring they respect the rights of the accused while pursuing the truth. It's a delicate balancing act, and one that demands immense professionalism and integrity. Yet, even as they do their part, they are just one piece of the puzzle. There are still prosecutors, defense attorneys, judges, juries, all playing their own roles in this elaborate dance. Each one is guided by laws and procedures, by ethics and fairness, to ensure that justice is served. So, as you can see, the process of initiating criminal proceedings is no simple task. It's a vast, intricate web of actions and interactions, all aimed at upholding the principles of justice. To fully grasp this, consider the famous case of the Unabomber, Theodore Kaczynski. Theodore Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, eluded the FBI for nearly 2 decades. This is a name that sends chills down the spine of those who remember the reign of terror he imposed. Kaczynski, a mathematical genius turned anarchist, orchestrated a bombing campaign that spanned from 1978 to 1995, resulting in 3 fatalities and 23 people injured. This case is a prime example of the first steps in criminal proceedings: the report of a crime and the initiation of an investigation. When the first bomb exploded in 1978, no one could have predicted the long and winding road that lay ahead for law enforcement. The FBI, ATF, and Postal Inspection Service launched an investigation that would become one of the longest and most expensive in U.S. history. Kaczynski's bombings weren't random acts of violence. They were part of an elaborate plan to draw attention to his anti-technology philosophy. He targeted universities and airlines, leading the FBI to name the investigation Unabomber, an acronym for University and Airline Bomber. The case took a turn in 1995 when Kaczynski sent his manifesto, Industrial Society and Its Future, to several major newspapers, demanding its publication. The Washington Post and the New York Times published it, hoping that someone might recognize the writing style. And someone did. David Kaczynski, Theodore's younger brother, noticed similarities between the manifesto and his brother's previous writings. With a heavy heart, he reached out to the FBI, leading agents to a remote cabin in Montana. On April 3, 1996, Theodore Kaczynski was arrested without resistance. This arduous investigation, spanning nearly 2 decades, demonstrates the complexity and persistence required in criminal proceedings. From the initial report of a crime to the start of an investigation, every step is crucial in building a case robust enough to stand in a court of law. With Kaczynski as our guide, let's delve deeper into the process. This case is just the tip of the iceberg, illustrating the intricate web of criminal proceedings that law enforcement must navigate to ensure justice is served. In any criminal case, the first major step is the investigation. This is where our police and special services truly shine, meticulously sifting through layers of information and executing a process that is as complex as it is crucial. The investigation is the foundation upon which the entire case is built, determining the trajectory of the proceedings ahead. Let's consider our earlier example, the infamous Unabomber case. The investigation spanned a period of 17 long years, a testament to the relentless pursuit of justice. The police and the special services were faced with a daunting task. They had to connect the dots, piece together a puzzle that was scattered across time and geography. The process began with the gathering of evidence. This consisted of collecting physical evidence from the crime scene, like the infamous homemade bombs, and analyzing them in a lab. This could also include intangible elements, such as data from a suspect's digital footprint or other forms of communication. Next, they moved on to interrogating suspects and witnesses. This stage is about more than just questioning. It's about reading between the lines, detecting inconsistencies, and discerning the truth amidst a sea of information. The investigators had to sift through countless leads, tracing the origins of the Unabomber's unique ideology, and eventually leading to the identification of Ted Kaczynski. The final part of the investigation was building the case. This involved linking the evidence to the suspect and formulating a narrative that explained the who, what, where, when, and why of the crime. In the Unabomber case, this meant linking Kaczynski to the bombings and demonstrating his motive. The investigation is a painstaking process requiring a keen eye for detail, a sharp mind, and an unwavering dedication to the pursuit of justice. As we've seen in the Unabomber case, it's a task that can take years, even decades, to complete. The investigation, however, is just the start. Once enough evidence has been gathered, it's time for the arrest and charges. The moment of arrest is a pivotal point in any criminal proceeding. It's a culmination of careful investigation, diligent evidence collection, and strategic planning. But how exactly does it all work? Let's take a walk through this process using the Unabomber case as our guide. Once the FBI had gathered sufficient evidence pointing towards Theodore Kaczynski as the Unabomber, the next step was to obtain an arrest warrant. This wasn't just a simple matter of showing up at a judge's door and asking for one. Rather, it required presenting the collected evidence to a judge who, based on the strength of the evidence, granted the warrant for Kaczynski's arrest. With a warrant in hand, the FBI then moved to arrest Kaczynski at his remote cabin in Montana. This was done with extreme care and precision, as any mishandling could potentially jeopardize the entire case. The arrest itself is only the first step. Following this, charges need to be filed. Charges are a formal accusation of the specific crimes that the suspect is believed to have committed. In Kaczynski's case, the charges were numerous and serious, including transporting, mailing, and using bombs and murdering and injuring persons. Each charge was backed by the evidence collected during the investigation, woven together to present a narrative of Kaczynski's alleged criminal activities. The charges were presented to a grand jury, a group of citizens who reviewed the evidence and decided whether there was enough to indict Kaczynski, that is, to formally accuse him and proceed to trial. The grand jury agreed with the prosecution's assessment, leading to Kaczynski's indictment. The arrest and the charges are significant milestones, but they are not the end of the road. They set the stage for the next act in the drama of criminal proceedings, the trial. But even after an arrest, the journey through the criminal justice system is far from over. The arrest of a suspect marks the transition from the police station to the courtroom. Here, the journey of the criminal case takes a different turn, moving from the realm of investigation to that of legal proceedings. This shift can often be dramatic and complex as it involves many different actors and stages. Firstly, we have the arraignment, which is the formal reading of the criminal charges in the presence of the defendant. In this phase, the defendant is asked to enter a plea, guilty, not guilty, or no contest. The court then sets the dates for the next steps, which may include pre-trial motions and, of course, the trial itself. Now let's talk about the trial. Here, the prosecution and the defense play their respective roles, each aiming to sway the judge or jury in their favor. The prosecution presents the evidence gathered during the investigation, aiming to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed the crime. The defense, on the other hand, works to challenge the prosecution's evidence, seeking to create doubt or to present an alternative narrative of events. The trial is a battleground of legal tactics, persuasion, and truth-seeking. It's where the evidence from the investigation is thoroughly examined, challenged, and evaluated. Each piece of evidence, each testimony, each argument is a step on the path toward the verdict. And then we reach the sentencing. If the defendant is found guilty, the judge determines the appropriate punishment, which could range from fines to imprisonment, or even both. It's a moment of resolution, but it's also just another step in the process, as there may be appeals and other post-trial proceedings. Post-trial, the defendant may seek to challenge the verdict or sentence, leading to a whole new series of legal proceedings. These can last for months, even years, as the case winds its way through the appeals courts. And that, in a nutshell, is the winding path of a criminal case, from the initial report of a crime to the final gavel in the courtroom.